Hey there, synth drones. Today we're going to be talking about synthesizer bashers. That's right, synthesizer bashers. I'm Pure Ambient Drone. This is my blog where I talk about synthesizers. Well, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button and tap that bell so you can keep up with all of my synth adventures on this vlog. Okay, it's raining out here. It's cold out here. It is about, I think, 35 degrees maybe. It might be a little warmer. But yeah, it's pretty chilly out here and rainy and wet. Cars are flying by, splashing the water up. Luckily, I'm over here on the sidewalk where it's not so wet, but there is some wet spots here. Anyway, I want to talk about synth bashers. I've talked about them before, but I want to talk about them again today because, you know, election time's coming up. And tomorrow's election day. So, you know, it kind of scares me that there's people out there that are voting, that are unaware of some of the problems in this country. I'm not going to pick a party. I'm not going to get political. But, you know, like voters and people who are bashing political figures with little or no knowledge about what is going on, we have people that are doing the same thing with synthesizers. Case in point, I've heard a lot of bad stuff about Sequential's Prophet Rev 2. And I mean, I've read a lot of bad things, heard a lot of bad things. And I gotta say, I have one now. I ignored all of that shit chatter because I wanted to find out for myself what this machine was all about. I had a Prophet 8 a long time ago, and I loved it, but it was lacking in the effects department. It was a very dry machine, and I wanted to get a replacement for it that had something with onboard effects. And when the Rev 2 came out, I was very, very intrigued. So I got one, and I am not disappointed. It is a far better machine than the original design. And I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. I think it has plenty of bottom end. Bottom end that if I wasn't careful with EQ, would probably muddy up, like any instrument would, the bottom end of a mix. So, you know, a lot of times we're complaining about bottom end on a synth, and we're cutting out a lot of that in the mix anyway. And I have other synthesizers that can give me plenty of bottom, like my P6 if I need it, okay, my Prophet 6. So, synth bashers, I believe, in my opinion, and I'm not talking about those who make a valid complaint. I'm talking about people that just trash and bash. I think, in my opinion, they're very uninformed, emotional people. They make their mind up without even thinking it through. They're negative people in general. They like to look at something and try to find something wrong with it so that they can hear themselves talk. Now just hear me out on this. There's not just people who do this with synthesizers. There's people in life, you will tell them your idea, your plan, and because they think it won't work, or because they don't know how to do it and make it work, or because they don't want to do it, or for whatever reasons they want to sound important, they'll come out and bash the idea. They'll find something wrong. Well, you know, that's a great idea. But these people are always butting in. And I think it's sad that we have so many people that actually listen to the synth bashers. I think that's the frightening thing. So I'm thinking about this election that's coming up here tomorrow. And I'm reading all of this hate and bashing of the candidates and the sitting candidates, or the sitting politicians. And I know a lot of it is just fabricated lies that people are spreading, like they do when they don't like a synthesizer. The reverse is also true. There's people out there that will uphold a synthesizer into glory territory. And they will tell you this is the best synthesizer in the world. And people go out believing this, and they buy it, and they play around with it, and they realize this is not all that. Because they believe the hype. So it's a double-edged sword when you're listening to people who are bashing synthesizers, and then you have people in the same forum upholding and defending the same synthesizer. You get into a territory of, well, I just don't know what to believe. But some people make up their minds saying, aha, it's got to be bad if somebody said it was. We want to, as human beings, believe the negative. Because as human beings, we are cautious. We don't want to fall into a trap. Now here's the thing. You can give me the name of a synthesizer, and if it's popular enough, and anybody can do this, you can get online and find good and bad equally, or give or take, concerning that synthesizer. And I've seen people with gas, they want to get a synth, and they start looking up the synthesizer in an attitude of, I'm going to prove to myself that I need this synthesizer. I'm going to prove it to myself. And they will seek out every positive thing that they can read or watch about the synthesizer they're gassing about. And then I've seen people mention to someone, a friend, about getting a particular synthesizer, and that friend will tell them everything negative they ever read about that synth. And then listen to this. They will exaggerate and misremember or just lie and tell them facts about another synthesizer, but apply it to the synth that they're criticizing, if that makes any sense. Just to prove to their friend that they're getting a bad synth. Now, where am I going with all of this? I like to tell my watchers here on this channel to please stop listening to everybody else and believing them. My last video that I talked about, well, one of my last videos, I talked about knowing versus believing. That's what I'm talking about here again today. Know what you're listening to. Know what you're learning about. Don't make up your mind. One of the greatest powers Americans have, or any country, is the right to vote. And I hope that this election day, that anybody out there who's been hearing negative stuff about candidates, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, I would hope that they would find out the truth, because like synthesizers, we need to be careful with our decision when it comes to voting. And here's the thing. Just think about this for a moment. If you went to work every day and there were people there that just didn't like you and wanted you out of your job. I've been there. I've done that. I've had people hate me for no reason whatsoever. They just didn't want to accept me, and they wanted me out of the job, mainly because their family needed a position, and I was in that position, and they wanted me out. There was no other reason than the fact that I was taking one of their family members' position, and they wanted me out. So they got together and they spread lies about me. They told my boss that I didn't know how to do my job. They told my boss that I was incapable of learning my job. And they told other people this too, and they all collaborated together, and they came together and they got me fired. Months and months later, I got published in an international magazine. One of the articles that I wrote pertained to my job. See, I was accused by people that I didn't know anything about computers, that I didn't even know how to really turn one on, let alone help people with them. And my job required that I knew specifically about computers. After I had gotten fired, I had written an article, a programming article. I had wrote for a software magazine, and I got published in not one, but actually 2 international computer magazines. And I took that magazine back to my former boss, and I said, look, the people that told you I knew nothing about programming, that I knew nothing about computers, they lied to you. And you believed them without checking the facts. But I got some facts for you that I'm going to have you check right here. And I put those 2 magazines in front of this man. And my name was clearly printed inside of the inside of those magazines, and the articles were clear. And I showed him the contract, and I showed him the payday that I received for those articles. And the man hired me back on the spot and ended up firing the people who lied to him about me. But until he checked the facts, he believed the lie. And I suffered. Not only did I suffer, okay, but the people that I was helping in this company, the customer, they were suffering too, because a knowledgeable, capable worker, an employee that was capable of doing the job, who was honest, that'd be me, thank you very much, was no longer there for a period of time. Because of liars, because of bashers, because of people who want to hate and tear down and destroy. I don't want to be a part of that group. I hope you're not one of those people who is watching this right now and you believe the hate and the lies about others when you know you would hate it if somebody did that to you. You would. You would absolutely hate it. It's not just to do that to people. Find out what's going on in your country. Find out what's going on in your synth studio. Take the same principles, the same caution, the same love, the same knowledge-seeking ideals, and apply them to your everyday life. Don't be a fool. Don't be a synth bot. Be a synth drone like me and all of the other wonderful synth drones that are on this channel who know to seek out the truth and not to vote for a party, but to vote for ideas that work. See, I like sequential synthesizers, but I also like Behringer synthesizers. I also like Roland synthesizers. I don't pick a synth company and say, that's it. That's the only synthesizer that I'm going to ever buy is one made by such and such company. I'd be a fool if I did that. And I think it's foolish for people to vote for the same party over and over again. I think we need to vote for people who represent us. Just like I think we need to buy synthesizers that suit our studio needs. Take those principles out to the voting polls this year and use them to make a change in not just your life, but in the lives of others. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with my synth vlog. Until next time, keep calm and synth on.